One thing we were able to do this last week is we were able to clean up this area between the grain bins and the barn. When we had moved in last year, this was all overgrown with mulberry trees, some maple, and lots of, I think, hogweeds is what it was. So we cut a lot of that down over the winter and let it season a little bit. We got rid of some of the bigger diameter stuff and took it to a neighbor who will use it. And then yesterday we were able to burn for about 8 hours and we got all the scrap wood down that used to be over in here. So now we can actually mow to keep some of the weeds down, and I'm not sure what we'll do over in here, but now we can actually do something with it. In the background there's still some elderberry plants that we'll transplant to a better location. Yeah, making some progress, a little bit at a time.
When we first closed on this house, you could not get to the barn for all of the weeds that were 7 to 8 feet tall. Now those bushes there are elderberries that we plan to use.
We want to keep those ones. But
yes, we want to move them to a more convenient location instead of right up against the grain bin. But elderberries are amazing for their health benefits, and I don't want to get rid of them. I like to make elderberry juice or elderberry syrup out of them, and sometimes he likes it when I make elderflower jelly or syrup out of it. And then you can get a shot over here of just about how big this area was. Our one daughter said, "Can I have a garden space?" I said, "Yeah, sure, of course." She said, "This is the space I want." Yep, that's my kid. She also went out weeding the garden at 8 o'clock last night instead of trying to go to bed like she was supposed to. That's my kid. The genetics are strong. But we could not get through here. We didn't even know there was cement down here for all of the horseweeds or hogweeds or whatever they were that were huge. And we started ripping them up and we said, wow, that came up really easy. And it turned out it was because they were over a lot of cement. We had no idea how far over it went. And the horseweeds are trying to come back. But now it's mostly under control. The old septic field is getting overgrown again, but that's not the worst that could happen. We're keeping the horseweeds down. We're getting the thistles killed down.
here's a quick look at our garden so far. We tilled up this bed last and we put in some flowers down the middle, and we got some eggplants and then I think some Anaheim peppers that we'll dry and use for chili powder later. We also got some onions from a friend, and our onions are looking real nice. They're coming up looking healthy. For a while that was the best thing in the garden. When we moved in, we had some asparagus beds back here that were slowly attacking the grass that's been coming up like crazy, and I think Rachel put in some strawberries this year. One problem we usually have is we grow way too many tomatoes for the space that we have, and true to form this year we got too many tomatoes, and so we stuck them where we had some garlic that wasn't doing anything. And further down in this bed then we have leeks and then some rhubarb that we got some from other friends too. We really like using mulch in the pathways to help keep the weeds down, and when the weeds do come up, like right here, it's a lot easier to just pick them and then throw them to let them dry up.
Wasn't that a thistle you just picked?
Yeah, if you get them by the roots, they don't hurt, at least when they're little. This year we're trying to grow some of our, I think the cherry tomatoes on some cattle panels that we have bent over. So we have, 25, 30 tomato plants right here.
I bought about 30, but we've gotten some freebies in there too.
Yeah. And you can't see them real well yet. Then we got some peppers and some more peppers. And I think some assorted green beans and some other stuff down here.
Assorted greens too. Spinach, kale if it survived, and I don't see it at the moment. Lettuce, a couple different kinds of lettuce.
The rows up here aren't real even because the kids had a little bit much fun with the planters. But you know, that's the price of having kids in the garden, and we'd rather have them help out than hate to be in the garden.
Yes, we tried a method this year of having the kids help planting a lot more than usual. And so our rows in this front part are a little crazy, but worth it.
We've got a mystery bush in the middle of the garden that was here, and we just tilled around it, and I'm not quite sure what it'll be. If you guys have ideas, let me know.
According to Google Lens, it's going to be an aronia berry. We'll see if Google Lens is right as time goes on.
For tomatoes, we found that we really like this system of using field fence because the holes are big enough to get your hands in easily, and there's fewer sharp edges. And then at the bottom, we keep it in. Each one of these has 4 tent stakes around the bottom. And that gives it enough support usually, while still giving easy access.
How many of these tomato cages did we end up making or having?
I think we brought, I don't even know.
I mean, I have a habit of growing about 20 to 30 tomato plants, except that year when I bought 52 because I wasn't paying attention. This first row here is all radishes and carrots. They say you're supposed to grow radishes and carrots together. And the radishes are looking nice and big already. They haven't been in the ground very long.
The leaves.
The leaves are looking big, yes.
We ran out of wood chips when we were working on these beds. So one of our arborist friends is going to drop us off a couple loads here coming up. One thing I really like to do with the wood chips, if you come down here, one thing I really like to do with the wood chips is we like to use them to mound tomatoes or potatoes. We like to use them to mound potatoes. We let them age over the winter time, so there's not as much concern about them soaking up all the nitrogen. So we use them as ground cover around the potatoes to keep the potatoes from getting the green, turning their skin green. And then over time we'll throw more on, and that also keeps the weeds down. And then when we go to dig potatoes in the fall, as we pull potatoes out, the wood chips slowly get incorporated with the soil, and it really builds up the organic matter in the soil. And also you end up with cleaner potatoes over time.
I felt it made it easier to dig them last year.
Yeah, especially if you have a lot of clay in the soil like we do.
If you really want to scare your kids, you can tell them that you're getting walking onions. I told our kids we were going to get walking onions, and they thought the onions were going to come out of the ground and walk around wherever they wanted to. But this is a walking onion. All these little things. We were given about 5 walking onion heads. And they're growing seed. They have a seed here and they grew a new one, and then they'll have a seed up here. And eventually they will get so heavy that they will fall over and continue to replant themselves. And as long as we don't dig up the bulb, these walking onions will continue to spread. Of course, right now we have them in a planter because of the time of year when we had them. But we will move them to the garden, to the bed with the strawberries and the asparagus, so we won't accidentally till them up. And we will have walking onions and feed our kids the horrible, scary walking onions.